one.
Good morning. I'm Andrew Fletcher with Mitsubishi. I do area sales for the New York market, and today we're going to be covering the Mitsubishi residential product line. That's going to be for your regular everyday residential application, and then also we're going to be talking about light commercial application as well. Something for your new office. You guys have an excellent building, and I am happy to be here to help you guys out today. So again, my name is Fletch. We're going to be talking about the product overview of Mitsubishi, and then we're also going to be talking about application as well. First few things that I want to point out about the market with Mitsubishi. So Mitsubishi actually started over here in Japan. As you can see, they have about 89% of the market coverage. As you can see over here, we are about 8%. This is data that we've had since about 2018, and we're steadily increasing, and I mean, up is the only way that we can go. So what's in it for me? Just a few things that I want to point out to you. The ability to meet customers' needs, marketing campaigns that provide leads, less callback issues. One thing that I want to point out to you all, most people think that for HVAC systems, you need to make sure that you clean them, install properly, and service. One thing that helpful advice that I'll give you is make sure that you're doing your load calculations as well. I think that is going to be the best advice I can give you for putting in Mitsubishi systems. Also, some things that you'll have is more marketable top-of-the-line products and outstanding customer service from your distributor, and then also from the manufacturer, which would be myself, and then my supporting cast, which is customer service. So in the US market, Mitsubishi has been around for about 41 years. The evolution went from, we were at one-to-ones, doing bonus rooms, doing garages, maybe something, a small application. But now what we're looking at is multi-zone application. You can do up to 8 zones with the Mitsubishi equipment. Not only do we do ductless, but now we have also entered the ducted market. We are trying to make sure that we have the ability to give a whole home solution to anyone that is looking to utilize the Mitsubishi product. So stepping into the M Series product, which is for your residential application, people think that traditional systems, bigger the better, and that's how us Americans all live, but sometimes that is not the case. Conventional systems have the ability to turn on and off. That is not helpful for the system long term. So now what Mitsubishi has is what you call an inverter compressor. So how the inverter compressor works is it's going to start with least amount of energy and then ramp up to get to that set point, and then it will then use the least amount of energy, kind of like a cruise control, as you can see in the demonstration of the picture, where it will use the least amount of electricity to power the unit. This demonstration here is just showing you the one-to-one matchups that we have for all of our equipment. The only equipment that's not up here is the MLZ, which is our new ceiling cassette, and I will be talking about that here shortly. So just a quick question for you all. Where do you think the #1 application is for a single zone system? Well, if you didn't know, it is actually the master bedroom. So what happens is people will put in maybe a high wall. They'll also maybe do a ducted unit in the master bedroom separate from the rest of the house, because comfort is the main key for this actual application. So here are all of our wall mounts. We have the FH, which is our top of the line. We have our designer series, which is the EF model, the GL, and then the HM. The EF model is a smaller footprint, so it's actually more contemporary style. The corners are going to be more, sharp, and then the footprint on the wall, it's not going to stick out as far off of the wall, and it's not as wide either. We also have the designer series in 3 different colors: white, black, and then a silver finish. Our top of the line FH, as you all probably know, we have this in capacities of a 6,000, a 9,000, a 12,000, a 15,000, and an 18,000. This is our 33 SEER product. This is our top of the line. It has the hyperheat that comes with it. And just to give you a pointer about what hyperheat is, if you're ever trying to explain this to a homeowner or a business owner, is the ability to have 100% heated capacity down to 5 degrees. So, as I was saying, the FH has 33 SEER. Again, that is our highest SEER for our high walls. A few things that I want to point out again is the hyperheat, 100% heated capacity down to 5 degrees. You also have an IC sensor. So basically what this is going to do, the IC sensor, is scan the room for body heat. So if you have a hot spot or a cold spot, it will find that, and then it will direct the air to that area until that temperature is settled. And then you have the 2-section split horizontal vein flow. Basically what that is you have 2 veins with a split in between, and this will move left to right, up and down, but with 2 different veins. This is just a prime example of how the 3D IC sensor works. As you can see, it has noticed that this person is, or this side of the room is much more hotter, probably somewhere close to a window. And then also the body heat of the actual person. So what would happen is this IC sensor would scan the room 360 degrees, and then it would deliver the air to where it needs to be. And again, these are 2 pictures of how the FH works and how the dual veins will actually be utilized when the airflow is being directed in the room. Here's our designer series. You can do this in a 1-to-1 and in a multi-zone. This is in 9,000 to 18,000, and here are the three colors that I was talking about. Like I said, it's a more sleek and modern design, and this is the actual height and width of the actual unit. So it's 34 inches long and 11 inches tall. The GL, this is our mid-tier product. Everyone is very familiar with this. One thing that I want to point out about this is the bluefin coating. So a bluefin coating is put on all of our product. Basically what the bluefin coating is to help with, say that there's salt in the air coming off of the beach. This hydrophilic coating will actually stop that from hurting the equipment. And this is used for basically for the worst scenario. So how the bluefin coating has been tested is we would take multiple units, we would put them in the worst condition, basically shooting salt water onto the unit, onto the coil for 960 hours. And once we do that, we found that at that worst condition, it took 960 hours for that to break down. Now, normal conditions, you don't have to worry about something like that, but that is what the bluefin coating is. The HM is our competitive brand. We also have something called the WR that just was released underneath the HM, Both are going to be competitive in the market. As you can see, it's only an 18 SEER product, and this is more of your entry-level Mitsubishi product as far as the high walls go. This is just a quick snapshot of the differences in what's available for the HM and the GL. Your fan speeds, your timer, and then also some controls that you can do. One thing that I do want to let everyone know is that with the HM, you only can put this in a one-to-one application. You cannot put an HM into a multi-zone. That would start with the GL and then the FH. The 115 volt was released. This is inverter compressor that we have with this one, and it's only for a single zone. As you can see, we have this 17 SEER. And one thing that I would like to point out is for all of our high wall equipment, it comes with the handheld remote. So this is our newest product to the high wall line. This is what you call the WR. And the reason why we came out with the WR is because we needed something that was going to be more cost competitive in the market against other competitors, manufacturers that have something in this range, and we never did until about early this year, around March or April. As you can see, this goes from a 9,000 to a 24,000, so you can get this all the way up to a 2-ton. And again, this is only in a 1-to-1. Now, as diamond contractors, you guys will have the ability to offer a 12-year compressor, 12-year parts to the homeowner, and we also have partnered with JB and Associates where you can also offer a 12-year labor warranty. These are all things that you need to use for your benefit when you are selling our equipment. One thing that I want to point out though is for the WR, the HM, and the 115 volt, you can only offer a 10 and 10. The rest of the equipment though will receive a 12 and 12. The D series is something that you can use for a kitchen application. You can also use the D series for maybe a school application or something like that. This equipment is for maybe you have a larger capacity, maybe like a 3-ton, 3.5-ton, maybe a 4-ton that you need to utilize. So the D series is something that we still have available. If you don't use the D series, I'm sure you can always move into the P series, which the P series is great, but it's just about if it's a low ambient application. The systems are more robust, and they thrive better when you're using those in a low ambient situation. So our floor mount. This is actually one of my favorite models, and the reason why is because, as you can see, this only comes in a hybrid, but it has a special technology that most other floor mounts do not have. And what that technology is it has a rapid heat technology. And how that works is, let me just move to the next page. So how this works is you have a vein here, and then you have a vein here. So it's going to throw from here, and then it's also going to throw here. At the bottom is your return. So when you had that return right at the bottom, when that air circulates, it's going to hit that coil and it's going to heat up quicker than most other floor mounts. This is what separates us from the rest of the competition. It's something that other brands just don't have. So that's something that you want to keep in mind if you're talking to a business owner or a homeowner. As you can see, this is just showing you a demonstration comparison for how long it takes for our system to heat up for the floor mount. As you can see, it will reach set point relatively quick, and it's something that will help when you're in the colder seasons, as of what we had a couple weeks ago. You can also recess this into the wall. It's about 8 inches. The depth is about 8 inches. You can recess it into the wall about 3, so it's not sticking out as much. But we also have something that I'm going to talk about a little bit later in our presentation. The 2x2 SLZ ceiling cassette. There's a few things that I want to point out to you as far as our lift mechanism, which to you all, that's going to be considered our drain. So before, our drainage on this SLZ was 19 inches. We have now increased that to 33 inches of lift. So that gives you better drainage for our system. Sometimes some people are worried about, if there's going to be a leak or, the drain's not working properly. But with this new 33-inch lift on the SLZ, you shouldn't have too many issues. This is a more contemporary style, sleek design that we also offered for the grill. And you can get this with the 3D IC sensor or without the 3D IC sensor. So here are the dimensions of the SLZ, the 2x2 4-way ceiling cassette. It has shrunk in size. It used to be bigger than this, excuse me, but now we have made this a little bit smaller, more sleek, and yes, you still need a separate access panel to do all of your work for the ceiling cassette, but I think in the next year or so we'll be having a fix where you can work from underneath. Moving into our ducted product on the residential side, we have the SEZ. Now the SEZ is for your short runs, meaning you might have a side-by-side bedroom and the runs aren't too long. And the reason why I say that is because the static pressure on this is only at a 0.2. So that's not going to give you the ability to overcome some of the ductwork that you're working with. Now, if you like this system and this is what the homeowner wants, or you think that there's an application for this, but you need more static pressure, move up to our PEAD, which is a 0.6 static, which gives you the ability to overcome more of that ductwork. All right, so moving into another one of our ducted products, we have the SVZ. The SVZ has replaced the MVZ, which we had a long time ago. The SVZ is a unitary style conventional air handler. This is what we're used to as Americans. You see this in majority of homes that you come across. The one thing that has separated us from most of the competition, I won't say all, but most of the competition, is we had this air handler in a 1-to-1 in a 1-ton application. So meaning you can, instead of this starting at 1.5 tons, which most of the unitary style air handlers start, we start this at a 1 ton. And the best thing about it is the footprint is really small. It's only 39 inches tall and it's 21 by 17. So what this does for you is it gives you the ability to put this in some of these smaller spaces, and also you're gaining more of your home to do other things with, instead of something that's large and takes up a lot of space. You can do this in a 1-to-1 or in a multi-zone. We had this in a 1 ton all the way up to 3 tons. And here are our heat kits. Now, 2 things I also want to point out to you. You do have the ability to do downflow, and you can lay this down horizontally left or right, or stand it up straight up. The sear on this is right up here in the corner. It's an 18 sear product, and I mean it's a solid piece of equipment. Here's just a look at what we had before and what we have now. Basically, we reduced it by about 11 inches. That's a big deal. Again, this gives you more flexibility for where you're going to put this in a home. And as you can see, like I said, it's 21 by 17 for the new SVZ. This is the downflow kit part that also goes, and here is the acronyms for the actual equipment, the DFK-S, which is for your 1 ton through 2 ton, and then the DFK-M, which is for your 2.5, 3 ton. This is a blow-through, a blow-through style air handler, and two things that I want to point out to you is the air leakage is less than 2%, and the static pressure. When you take this out of the box, it's going to be set at a 0.5. It can be changed to a 0.8 or 0.3, and that is by dip switches. So the actual cabinet is not powder coated also. Sometimes what happens is these cabinets can get scratched up and they look kind of ugly after a while. But this is actually made out of a black Zan material, which is zinc, aluminum, and magnesium. That is, so it's almost scratch resistant. You shouldn't see any dings or dents on it or anything of that nature. So one thing that I hadn't talked about until this point that I just saw, the CN105 port is going to be on all of our equipment. The CN105 is going to give you the ability to put in a third-party stat, or you would also be able to utilize our controls as well. So what you would need for the third-party stat is going to be a third-party interface, and that's going to give you full functionality, say with your Nest or your Honeywell controller or whatever the homeowner likes. The only thing that it will not do is it won't give you full functionality of the vanes if that's what you have. Outside of that, temperature, set points, timers, things of that nature is all going to be controlled. You just need to make sure that you have that third-party interface, which we do have available at mylinkdrive.com. So, to sum up some new equipment that we've come out with, we have the new SVZ. This PEAD is something that I want to talk about here shortly, and then also the MLZ. So moving into multi-zone, basically everything has the ability to be put into a multi-zone. Except for the ones that I had told you about earlier, which is the WR, the HM, and then the 115 volt. Everything that you see here, starting with the SEZ, the SLZ, the FH, the floor mount, and then this should say SVZ, can all be put into a multi-zone. So some of the questions that I get when we talk about multi-zone is, does it have to all be ductless? Does it have to all be ducted? Can it be a mix? And so it's more of an a la carte. So when you're working with zones, you have the ability to do up to 8 zones, and you can do a mixture. And we have some nomenclature. We have a catalog that will tell you what the SEER would be if the homeowner wants to know. And I go over Diamond System Builder, which is a great tool to use. It tells you how much additional refrigerant you need to add when you're working with the multi-zone. It also tells you other D rates that you need to know, as far as what is your sensible heat, what is your latent heat. These are some of the things that we need to know when we're working with inverter compressors. One thing that I want to point out to you is, yes, at a certain point you do have to use a branch box, and basically what the branch box does is it makes it look more sleek. It gives it the ability to have longer line sets, and you don't have a bunch of wires or line sets coming from your outdoor condenser running all over the place. Basically what you can do is you can put this branch box in an attic, you can put this in a crawl space, you can put it outside, but I do recommend putting it in the branch box enclosure, which is weather protected. I'm sorry. So you have a 3-port branch box and a 5-port branch box. As you can see in this picture here, your line sets are nice and clean, and you have 2 line sets going to the outdoor condenser, and the rest of the line sets will run to your indoor heads. So moving into the MLZ, this is our second newest product. This MLZ is a game changer. This is for the person or the homeowner who doesn't want to see a high wall because they just think it's displeasing to their eye. But this goes in between the 16-inch joists on center. So say for example they want to do a ductless unit, but they don't want to put something on a high wall up, or do a ducted system. This ductless MLZ, what you would do is you would put this in between the joists, 16-inch on center, and you can do all of your service work from underneath. So this grill, as you can see here, there's 2 tabs. You pull it down, and then on the right hand side you have your liquid and suction, and the rest of the work can be done from there. Just to show you where you can put this, so if it's a 2x8 to a 2x12, this will fit perfectly. It has to be on center. Anything outside of that, it will not work, so keep that in mind. It's about 4 feet long. So the MLZ actually is very long, but the width is very short, and you don't have to worry about having the separate access panel like you need for the 2x2 ceiling cassette. So here are just some demonstrations of how this looks between the joists. It does have a lift mechanism on this as well, and the blow on it, the length of it is about 23 feet. It goes up and down and left to right. Here's some pictures of, again, how the line sets come in, your liquid and your suction, and then this is the drain pan. So these are just some things that you just want to make sure that you're paying attention to. If you have any questions, you can always reach out to your distributor, or you can also reach out to me if you have any questions about this. This is just a picture of one that's actually put in. You have a soffit ceiling where they put one right in front of the window, and this is taking care of this whole area here. So big area, no problem. You can put this in a 1-to-1 or in a multi-zone. This is just a picture of the actual grill off, and you can see in here, this is where the actual blower is, and everything else that you might need to service. So just to give you a prime example of some of the controls that we have, one that I really want to talk about is this guy here. This is just a cell phone. You have your MHK1, which is just a Honeywell with Mitsubishi brains in it, but this right here is the Kumo Cloud. So the Kumo Cloud is something that's it's great, and I'll tell you for multiple reasons why. So say for example you have a rental, or you have an Airbnb, you can have the Kumo Cloud on your phone, and you can also have a hard stat on the wall. And how this works is with that CN105 port, you're going to put in the Kumo Cloud interface, but on that Kumo Cloud interface, the actual connection to the indoor head is also a CN105 port. So now what you can do is you can take this MHK1, you can plug that MHK1 wire to the actual Kumo Cloud interface, and then the actual Kumo Cloud interface to the air handler. So now what you have is, say for example, the person that was renting, or there for vacation forgets to turn off the system. If they forget to turn off the system for the hard stat, what you can do is on your phone, say you're in California, you can look it up, turn it off, and you're good to go. This is what I mean by branch boxes. So the only time that you really need to use a branch box is when you're working with, this is 4 zones at 36,000 BTU, so a 3-ton unit up. So 4 zone, 5 zone, all the way up to 8 zones, and that's when you would have to use a branch box. Outside of that, you don't need to use a branch box, and this is for the hyperheat application. Now for the standard application, it's going to be 5 zones and 3.5 ton up. So 5 zone, 3.5 ton, 5 zones, 4 ton, 8 zones, 5 ton. Moving into the P-Series, some differences that I need everyone to really know about P-Series. So P-Series is our light commercial application. This is going to be for your server rooms, your computer rooms. This is where there's extra heat coming from somewhere that's being made, and you need to make sure that that stays cool. So when you're working with P-Series, low ambient cooling is for these critical areas. On the M-Series side, it does not have low ambient. I do not recommend using M-Series equipment in a computer room or a server room. Also with P-Series, is your line set size, line set lengths are going to be much more. You have 245 feet for a line set length in comparison to 100 feet for the M-Series. So keep that in mind. This is going to be for your larger, commercial buildings, things of that nature, and I'm going to jump into the equipment. So here's the lineup for all of the P-Series equipment. You have the high wall, which is a PKA, our 3x3 PLA, our PEAD, which I alluded to earlier, the PCA, and then our PVA. Now, all of the P-Series is also inverter driven. The one thing that I will tell you about P-Series is you can only put this in a 1-to-1. You cannot do P-Series equipment in a multi-zone application. Also, what I want you to know is that these systems are way more robust. So that is the reason why you would move to a P-Series if you have a larger application. So the PKA, just one thing that I want you guys to understand is you have the PUZ, which is heat pump, okay? And then sometimes the PUI. There are applications where you won't need heat at all. All you'll need is, cooling. And if that's the case, stick with the PUI. If not, go with the PUZ. The PLA, again, is our 2x2, or I'm sorry, our 3x3, which is a 4-way ceiling cassette. You do need a separate access panel for this unit, and this goes from 1 ton all the way up to 3.5 tons. And this is great for a daycare, or maybe an office space, or elementary school. These PLAs are great, because you have individual vane control. So basically what that means is say you want 2 sides to be at full blast and the other 2 sides to be off, you can do that. Or one side on and all the rest of the sides are just on, the 1 speed. I mean, this is one thing that you can do with the PLA that, a lot of people use and take advantage of. The PCA is something that you'll find more in kitchens. You'll find this in bars, more of a light commercial application like that. Easy access to clean the filters. You can do this. It starts at a 2 ton, goes up to 3.5 ton. You do have the ability to get the IC sensor for this as well. The PEAD, which is our ducted unit, this is the one that I was telling you about that you want to use instead of the SEZ. The SEZ is going to be at a 0.2 static. This is going to be at a 0.6 static, so it'll be able to overcome some of that ductwork, and it will give you a longer run as far as what you can do with it. So here's just a prime example, a comparison, side-by-side comparison. You have this at a 9,000 all the way up to a 3.5 ton. And for the SEZ, you only had this at a 9 up to a 1.5 tons. Again, you got this at a 0.6 static compared to a 0.2 static in the rear, and you have the air inlet at the rear or the bottom. This is rear only. And then one thing I want to tell you about is, your drainage. It's 27 inches of drainage for this and only 21 inches for that. So keep that in mind, it might make a difference. The PVA is like our SVZ, but it is much bigger. But one thing that I will tell you about this is out of the box it's a 0.5 static. You can change this to a 0.8 or 0.3. This is also with diff switches as well. And we do have a hyperheat coming out for our P-Series line that will be sometime in 2020. And we're going to have this from a 2-ton all the way up to a 4-ton. So keep that in mind if a hyperheat is something that you need, which basically gives you the 100% heating capacity down to 5 degrees. Some accessories that I want to talk about after these controls. Again, all of your high walls except for P-Series comes with a handheld remote. This is our MHK1. This is the wire that goes into the CN105. This right here is a third-party interface. So you know where to find the information at. This will actually, hold on one second. This will actually make your life a lot easier. So say that the homeowner has a question about how loud is the system. So a whisper for in decibel audibles, meaning how high or quiet something is. So if you needed to know that information, it's right here. So so dB is decibel audible. So a whisper is at 21. So our outdoor and indoor head is at 20. So that's less than a whisper. And basically what this does is it's just going to tell you, at fan speeds, at certain fan speeds, whether you're at quiet, low, medium, or high, it's going to tell you how loud that system is going to be. So at 40 decibel audibles and a whisper is at 21, that's still not really loud at all. And I'm not sure if you've ever heard a Mitsubishi system, but they're super quiet. Mm-hmm. One thing that I'm also going to show you is your capacity range. So say the homeowner is you do a load calculation on a area, right? And maybe that capacity is 5,500, right? So this will ramp all the way down to 1,700. So this means that you still have the ability to utilize this system in that room, even though it's saying that it can go all the way up to 9,000 at its highest point. It'll never reach that because you're using an inverter compressor, so it'll reach that set point quicker, and then it'll just ramp all the way down to 1,700 or whatever it needs to use. Also, what I wanted to point out to you is in this catalog, it's going to show you your liquid and suction. So that's a 3/8 line set size and a 1/4, and that's where it splits off is where you'll go to a half. But as you can see your gas and your liquid, it's going to tell you all the information right here. So everything, sometimes, you might get a little frustrated and you can't, figure out something. Just review the information. If you can't find it, that's when you can give me a call, or give, your distributor a call, and they can help you with that. And then the last thing I just want to, just touch on is, it's going to tell you, the moisture removal. So 0.2 is 2/10 of a pint.
Right.
Okay, so this is telling you all the way across how much moisture this system will remove, based on the BTUs. And then also it's going to tell you let's see, it's also going to tell you, all the rest of the information that you need to know, the width, the depth, and the height of the system. So keep all of this in mind. I think the biggest thing about a Mitsubishi system that people don't understand is you just want to make sure that you have the proper load calculation. And the reason why you want to have the proper load calculation is because with your sensible and your latent heat, that's going to determine what system you want to use for that application. Long if it falls in between, the sensible and the latent heat, I mean, you'll be good to go. Outside of that, we have pocket guides that you can use. This catalog has your port adapter sizes for your gas and your liquid, as you can see in the back of the book here. And also what I want you to know is when you're working with a branch box, which that's what I was talking about there, when you're working with a branch box, you don't have to go A, B, C, D, like, in a row. You can switch that up. So say for example, you have what you need, but it's asking for, a quarter and a half, or something like that. If the indoor or the line set is not asking for that, then skip it and move down. You don't have to use that one. Just make sure that you cap it off, and you'll be good to go. But other than that, if you guys have any questions about any of the controls, any of applications, if say for example you have a crazy job coming up, or anything of that nature, and you want some help with that, you're more than welcome to give me a call, and I'll come out and walk the job with you, let you know what I think. Because sometimes what can happen is you think that you need more when really you don't. There's been situations where someone thinks that they need a 1.5 ton system, but you have a cost issue, and then I come in and I'm like, nah, you'll be okay with a 1 ton, and then that extra savings is what closes the job. Any questions for me?
No.
All right. Well, Sebastian, it was a pleasure meeting you, and if you guys have, like I said, any questions.